Okay, I should probably make this known right now in case I didn't make it clear enough to cover my own ass for future episodes. I am a die-hard fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' first animated series, otherwise known as the 1987 series, or as I like to call it, the Fred Wolf series. I only saw the second series in its first season during its original run due to various reasons. And my curiosity toward that second series of looking at it from a fresh perspective is another one of the reasons why I wanted to do this retrospective. Also, I never read the original comics that much, just the Archie-published Ninja Turtles Adventure series that was adapted from the first animated series. So yes, because of that, I've already made a few screw-ups going into this series. For example, there have been a number of my viewers that are much smarter than I am telling me that Leatherhead and Usagi actually were in the original comics. Given that I knew Usagi has appeared in his own comic series, I probably should have known about him, and probably did in the back of my mind. I get the feeling these aren't going to be the only frack-ups I'm going to make regarding this, though I am trying to research as best I can. So if I make any other mistakes through the rest of this review, I apologize in advance and hope that you can at least understand that I don't have the original material to check up with it. I mean, do you know how hard it is to find that stuff? I mean, this copy here, this is from the IDW published reprint of the original comics that they released just last year. This #1 of that series cost me $20 on Amazon. Yeah, sorry Linkara, looks like the speculators still control the market. The third season of the 4Kids series opens where the last one left off with the three-parter Space Invaders, where we find out that the Triceratons are invading Earth in search of the Fugitoid, aka Professor Honeycutt, that robot they found on the other world they were sent to at the start of last season. One thing I forgot to mention last time was how the Utroms offered the Professor asylum on their homeworld. So now the Triceratons are coming after him on Earth. Something tells me there was a flaw in a plan somewhere.
But the Fugitoid's teleportal doesn't work, remember? We built it. It was a dud.
The Tricera creeps are after someone who ain't even here, cause they want an invention of his that don't even work.
That about sums it up.
I wish I could adequately explain everything that happens in this three-parter, but it's just so awesome that you have to view it for yourself. It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles defending the Earth from an invasion by an army of alien dinosaurs. All I'll say is if the Triceratons were in Dinosaucers, that show might have lasted more than a year. The episode ultimately ends with the Triceratons realizing the Fugitoid isn't actually on Earth, and they prepare to leave, just as the Fugitoid arrives on Earth. Now that's bad. That immediately takes us into Worlds Collide, where we first learn that the Fugitoid had learned the Triceratons were after him and transported himself back to Earth to give himself up. Why wouldn't he think to transport himself to another planet, hoping the Triceratons would follow him there and hopefully go after him without any other lives put at risk? At any rate, the Triceratons find out the Fugitoid is now on Earth, and so of course the invasion is back on. I think the narrator of the Powerpuff Girls said it best once: just because you're a genius doesn't make you a smart guy. And as if to drive that home further, we learn that the person who helped the Triceratons track the Fugitoid's readings was Donnie.
I sort of showed the Triceratons how to scan for the Professor's Fugitoid body's positronic energy signature. It was the only way to convince them that the Professor wasn't on Earth.
Well, he's on Earth now.
Don, just how accurate is this scan? Miles? City blocks?
inches.
I gotta admit, it's kind of funny watching the professor just walk over waving his arms, telling the Triceratons to come and get him. The turtles decide to split themselves and the professor up in order to confuse the Triceratons until he can disguise the signal he gives off, but then they get another problem.
Freeze! We have you surrounded!
Yes, they get caught by the Initiative, led by this guy we only know as Bishop. And it turns out that Bishop is working with the Federation that the Triceratons were fighting in the last season in a deal to give them the Professor. Oh, and he also took captive an old friend of theirs.
Leatherhead?
I fear for their safety. This is not good. I must collect a few things and then I will go find them.
I can at least help you track them through their shell cell signals. And I've been practicing the moves you taught me.
You've been practicing ninjutsu? Yeah, right. No way.
Okay, this is one thing I've heard about regarding the second series, but have been holding back on until I saw it personally. I maintain that the April of the first Fred Wolf series was not just some distressed damsel, but I will admit it is neat to see that in this series, April becomes much more active, actually taking ninja training from Splinter. And this is one thing I know was taken from the comics. No, not those comics. Those comics! Yes, April also became a trained ninja herself in the Archie published series that was originally adapted from the first TV series. That was a new extension of April's character that I liked in that comic series, and yes, it's pretty fun here too. And as far as the Turtles' allies go, they really need her because Casey...
Yes!
So, looks like this kissing thing's getting to be a habit. What?
I'm not necessarily complaining. Comic relief is always welcome when done right. But it's just odd that most people seem to prefer Casey as a goofball rather than the psychotic nutcase he was in the first show. At any rate, the three manage to free the Turtles and Leatherhead, just as the Federation is looking to tap the Professor for that teleportal thing, but they get a surprise.
The teleportal plans, they're not here.
Not here?
I erased them.
What?
Sir, it's taking over our system.
And then he uploads a virus to make the system overload and explode. Because that's how computer viruses work. They make things go boom. Who am I kidding? In cartoons, everything makes things go boom.
His robotic body was never meant to channel that kind of power. It burned out on him.
With both armadas disabled, both sides see their commanders for the power-mad maniacs they are, and finally say, screw you guys, we're going home.
Our forces have completed the rescue efforts. The Federation troops are being brought onto the homeworld as we speak.
We will treat them as allies and our guests until we deliver them safely to the Federation as our first gesture of peace. There are but 2 prisoners that I must keep under lock and key. Perhaps they will also find a way to make peace.
This Triceraton stench is more than I stand! The only stench around here is your cowardice, Blank. You want a piece of me? Then bring it on, you stinking lizard, if you got the guts!
Oh, come on, just set them loose on one another. We make a fortune in pay-per-view buy rates. So the Triceratons and Federation agree to end the war, and the Turtles honor Professor Honeycutt with, okay, really? You're really just gonna blatantly rip off the Wrath of Khan ending?
Not only will you live on in our hearts, but your noble sacrifice will endure forever in the lasting gift of peace.
6, we don't get a lot of story arcs and multi-part episodes for the rest of the season, just a bunch of one-shots. And again, one or two I really don't get. Like when we get introduced to this new villain duo called Touch and Go, that at the same time has Raphael running from a mob of humans looking to hunt down mutants. Yeah, to me it makes even less sense for the people of this universe to be outright against mutant turtles, given that they have superheroes here. Yeah, did I forget to mention that this show has its own version of the Justice League? Thankfully, this doesn't go very far. And then there was this other episode suggesting that Wall Street came to be because of a giant evil Cthulhu alien that feeds off of greed and fear. That having been said, many of the one-shots are instrumental to the overall story, like finding out that the restoration effort in New York from the invasion is being handled by the Shredder.
Another one of Shredder's alien tech garbage-picking goon squads.
I wonder what he's collecting all this stuff for.
In the meantime, Leatherhead takes shelter with the Turtles, but is struggling with controlling his rage, which has gotten even worse from the first time they saw him. It's a whole you wouldn't like him when he's angry kind of thing. Fortunately, in this world, New York's underground is loaded with abandoned locales that the city just forgot about, and Don and the group ultimately find an old train station for Leatherhead to call his own pad.
I don't know how to thank you.
You don't have to thank us, Leatherhead.
Yeah, us mutants gotta stick together. Family and all that.
Yes, family.
We finally get back to the Foot Clan with Mission of Gravity. One of the things the Triceratons did during their invasion was enclose the city of Beijing in a force field and levitate it several thousand feet in the sky. And they kinda left it up there when they went home. This has drawn the Shredder's interest to get the anti-gravity generator for his own needs. But Karai, knowing he will cause the city to come crashing down and kill everyone there in the process, begs the Turtles to stop his plan, which they also get help from the Fugitoid?
The last thing I recall, I was on a rooftop with Donatello, broadcasting a signal to make me invisible to the Triceratons. I also uploaded a backup of my memory core into the satellite communications network, set to contact you in the event of my destruction.
Anyway, once they save the city and bring it safely down, Leonardo once again begs Karai to turn away from the Shredder and the Foot, but Karai's devotion to her surrogate father remains too strong.
Could you so easily turn your back on your father? Even if you knew the things he did were wrong.
It's in the second half that things really start flowing. Time Travails has the Turtles needing to protect a temporal Valley Girl equivalent of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, who has run off with a time scepter that gets taken by the Dragon Draco and the Daimyo's son from the last season finale, who have now been fused into one. And the little apprentice's master is apparently from Jersey. Or maybe Brooklyn. Hey, all you Northeasterners sound the same to me.
Quiet, you! You've caused me enough trouble for one eternity. As it is, I'll be sweeping up temporal spillage for a decade!
We shall return. We shall have our revenge.
The Time Scepter's a funny thing. Has a mind of its own sometimes. I'm not so sure that character knows what he's in for.
The Foot and Bishop end up colliding in the episode Hun on the Run, where Karai is captured by Bishop trying to steal some of his technology, and the Turtles have to sort of help him rescue her, even though Stockman tried to sabotage the efforts by luring the Turtles to go after Hun. You know, this really makes me wonder, who really is the bigger fool? The Shredder from the first series for constantly keeping idiots around, or this Shredder for keeping around people who keep betraying him? Following that, we get a series of episodes that starts when, sure enough, Draco and Son returns and uses the Time Scepter to send everyone scattered through time and space. Mikey goes to a world where the Turtles are pretty much the Fantastic Four. Raph ends up in a combination of Speed Racer meets the Condemned. Donnie goes to a future where the Shredder rules. Take a shot! And Leo ends up in Usagi's home world, where he learns Usagi has a team of fellow samurai that are such characters that I can't help but wonder why a spin-off was never created. Oh, and one of his compatriots is a goofy acting rhino? Nah.
I can't ask you to come with me, Usagi.
You do not have to ask, my brother. I am going with you.
We made it! The Battle Nexus!
We command her! What? He has activated the war staff? No! I saw.
Looks like I'm already on my way out of this world! It's happening again. It is pulling me away from here. It's happening again. Something's pulling me away.
What sorcery is this?
This Time Scepter has a mind of its own. Let me show you the true and good powers of the Time Scepter, controlled by the right hands.
My son? Oh, my son! Do not cry. I too had a horrible nightmare.
In Bishop's Gambit, Bishop lures the Turtles out of their lair to capture Splinter this time. And it's here we finally learn Bishop's plan. He's a modern-day, government-funded Frankenstein looking to create an army of super soldiers to counteract the alien invasions that have been occurring all the way back to the Ulysses S. Grant administration. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna find that history in the Library of Congress.
Handsome devil, if I do say so myself.
Professor Honeycutt, the tank, seal it! And Bishop's nowhere in sight.
We will see him again. Such men are hard to destroy.
Everything comes to a close in the two-parter Exodus. It turns out the Shredder has been collecting all the alien technology during the rebuilding efforts to build a spaceship to take him back home. As the Turtles and Leatherhead infiltrate the Shredder's going away party, we learn that Stockman was working for Bishop the whole time. Yeah, who didn't see that coming? Hun had no knowledge that his boss was an alien. Probably should have kept a closer eye on your master there. And Karai is so devoted to the Shredder that even knowing that his goal is to destroy the Utrons and conquer other worlds, she still ends up boarding the ship with him to ensure takeoff. So as the Turtles take off into space with them and Bishop looks to try to destroy the spaceship in a whole if I can't have it, no one can thing, the evil Ooptron upgrades into Super Shredder. No, I didn't extend the drinking game to the movies. And if the Shredder was formidable to the Turtles, Super Shredder, well...
Master Splinter!
Time we finally end this.
You have defeated them, my lord. Leave them in their dishonor.
Karai, you go too far! You dishonor me with your insolence! What? Chaplain, what is happening up there? Chaplain!
Having been decimated, the turtles decide they have only one choice. Overload the ship's power core and take out everything.
I could never ask you to.
It's okay, Sensei. We know the score.
If we don't stop the Shredder now, millions of innocent beings throughout the galaxy will suffer at his hands. It's all right, Father. We're all agreed.
Then let us finish this.
No.
But fortunately, they have friends in far places.
Collapse of the stasis bubble is imminent. It will not hold.
Transmat the turtles and Master Splinter to the infirmary immediately. Send Professor Honeycutt to our main laboratories. Send this scum to the holding cells.
Terrell, you are hereby sentenced to eternal exile on the ice asteroid Morgal Tau.
No!
We all owe you a debt of gratitude. The Shredder has finally been brought to justice.
Is it really over? No more Shredder?
Yes, my sons. My Master Yoshi's spirit can finally rest in peace. The Shredder is finished.
You know what? Watching over this series, it suddenly dawned on me. This isn't an adaptation of a comic book series. This is a comic book in video form! I mean it! This series, especially this past season, was written very much like comic books are written today, with single story arcs that last a handful of multiple episodes that in of themselves are connected together for an extensive saga. Even the singular episodes lent to the overall story that the show was meant to tell. Linkara once said how comics today are written for the trade collections. Well, this season was clearly written with DVD sales in mind, both single disc sales as well as a box set. It's actually pretty clever writing, both from a storytelling and merchandising perspective. And like many comics, this story arc may be over, but it has likely set up a new arc to come immediately after. What will that story be? We'll find out next time!